Welcome back to another edition of a Daily Stew. This is the Wright Stew Podcast. I'm Paul Stewart.
And I'm Brian Wright, still.
And so here we are. So today is December 13th. So a very special day, for me at least, right? It is my Uncle Kevin's birthday. And so my uncle was one of the people who was very influential early on in my life in introducing me to sports, really baseball and football, and he was a hockey guy too. But so wanted to send a shout out to Uncle Kevin. Wanted to share a couple stories about him early on. And what were some of those things that really instilled that passion for sports from him to me? But before I jump into those, Brian, did you have anybody in your life who was really pushing? I don't want to say pushing, but sharing that passion and that love for baseball or any other sport with you?
Well, no, I think pushing is okay. I think that could be a great conversation, because we all have goals, right? And hopefully, as a child, obviously ours was to play professional baseball, play professional sports. But you didn't necessarily know what that needed to look like. So you needed people to push you and stay consistent and be disciplined. And it was very much my father. I had an older brother who played, and so I kind of followed some of his models and knew what I needed to do to be able to be, where I needed to be as far as talent and skill at certain ages. But I do think there's something to, maybe not pushing. I think that kind of has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But holding accountable is kind of what I like. And then ultimately it becomes the kid's decision as they get older. But if you can develop some of those disciplinary skills that are required to be good really at anything, but especially a skill sport like baseball, I mean, it's really important. I would say baseball is the ultimate, mentor game. You need somebody to first of all, to really practice. You need somebody to throw you BP. You need somebody to hit you ground balls. You need a mentor in this game. It's not like basketball or maybe like football where you just got to be a real good athlete and develop some skill. It's the ultimate. It's funny. On the field, it's very much an individual team game. But as far as to get better, you need somebody to help you get better. And so it sounds like maybe your uncle at least started some of those passions. But
well, did you have one of those pitchbacks as a kid, like the nets where you would throw into it?
I did. I didn't love it. I wasn't very good at it. We may have got the cheap one. It didn't feel like. I don't know.
I think there was.
I definitely had one.
Think there was a cheaper, expensive. I think there probably is now, but back then I think it was the same blue metal frame.
I think mine was red. I'm pretty sure mine was Kmart. You sound like you may have been Walmart.
We might have been a Walmart family, but we had realistically, that's where I learned to pitch. We had that little fake thing you would put around for a strike zone, and I would go out and pitch kind of a game against myself. So I'd throw as the Cubs, and then I'd field the ground balls, and in my head I'd be narrating like ground ball to Stewart. He fields it, throws to first, got him by a step. So I was developing like my podcasting and baseball skills all at the same time. But
did you ever lose a game that you pitched?
Well, I was always 1-1 because I won and I lost because I pitched for both sides. There's probably a lot of no hitters on both sides. Yeah. So
I love it.
So my Uncle Kevin, he took me to my first big league game that I really remember. I think my parents took me to an Orioles game growing up. I don't really recall that one at all. But I grew up in Northern Virginia until I was 10. Then we moved to North Carolina. So Northern Virginia didn't really have it. The Orioles were close. But in 1987, so I actually pulled it up, April 5th, 1987. So the Mets and the Phillies played a exhibition game at RFK Stadium. So
does that count?
Washington had lost their team to Texas 15, 16 years prior to that. The Nationals clearly weren't around yet. But there's this movement to bring baseball back to D.C. And so I guess the Mets and the Phillies on their way up north stopped along the way from Florida and played this exhibition game. And I read some of the articles, and it's like Mike Schmidt clearly was not happy about this. Like nobody seemed to want to be there. But they did it. And there was like a crowd of like 40,000 people that showed up for this. And I remember being there and being really cold and it being really gray and miserable. And then as I read, it was like snow flurries were in the kind of the forecast and all this sort of thing. But I remember he got us pretty good seats. We were behind home plate.
Oh,
And I just remember being so excited to see the 80, the 87 Mets just coming off their World Series. So it was, Strawberry and Lenny Dykstra and Dwight Gooden didn't pitch. I think Sid Fernandez actually pitched, the big Hawaiian. And
Big Hawaiian.
and I remember seeing Mike Schmidt come. I was super excited to see Mike Schmidt, right? And he hit a fly ball to right field.
Did he walk?
I said, that is the highest fly ball I've ever seen in my, and I was 8 or 9. I was like, oh my God, like I'll never be able to catch a fly ball that high. Like, and it blew me away just how big and fast and just some of the things going on. So my Uncle Kevin took me to that game, and that was just a memory I'll have forever.
Did you guys get there early? I know you like to get the games early and watch BP. Did you guys get there early and watch?
I'm sure we did. I don't. Yeah, it's been 40 years since that game happened for me. If I'm guessing, I'm saying we did get there early. We weren't rolling in like in the second inning or anything like that. We were We were definitely there for the national anthem and that sort of thing. But I don't remember how early we did get there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty cool experience. And we didn't go to a ton because there wasn't any close. We went to some minor league games. And so, yeah, that's a pretty cool story. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Then we moved to North Carolina and the Durham Bulls. We went to a lot of Durham Bulls games at the old stadium. And one more Uncle Kevin story. So I remember I've shared this before. I had a bunch of starting lineups, the little toys, and I've got some pictures. I'll share some pictures on our Instagram. But I remember Christmas, probably that same year. Yeah, I'm in bed. Me and my brother shared a room. We have bunk beds, and I'm laying there, and we're waiting, and we're trying to fall asleep. But Christmas Eve is the hardest. You can't fall asleep on Christmas Eve.
No, you're trying to find Santa. Yeah,
you're
looking outside,
for all the
big
things.
stars. You think about,
and so we're at bed probably 9:30, 9:45, 10 in that range, and I hear my uncle come in. And our bedroom wasn't far from the living room. It's not like we didn't live in a palace. And I hear him in there and they're talking. My parents are starting to put some toys out. And I hear him like, oh, this is so cool. He's in there looking and like playing with my starting lineups as a grown man. He's like, oh, it's like BJ Surhoff. Oh, he's gonna be a stud. Yeah, he's commentary on all the toys that I'm about to. And so I'm like, oh, I'm getting the start. That's what I wanted. I wanted the starting lineups.
And I didn't even know that never hit my radar. I didn't even know what starting lineups were when 1987, I was 7 years old.
Dude,
but it never hit my.
I'm in a whole starting lineup like community on Facebook where they're selling and what's why it's one of those things back in that time. It's like, oh, this is going to put you through college. This Ryan Sandberg starting. They're worth like the amount now that they were in 1987. Which is probably less. So
probably a lot of top-notch people living in mama's basement in that community group on Facebook, I would imagine, right? Is that doesn't feel like.
So there are some that are more rare than others because I think they're regionally distributed. So I was in Northern Virginia, so I've got a lot of Redskins and Orioles. So I guess like the Darryl Green and Art Monk weren't distributed very widely, so those ones are a little more valuable than others. But I'm not sound. I used to play with them all the time. It's not. Yeah, they're not.
They're not mint condition. They're not still in the box.
I did save a few in the box as I get a little older, but they're in the attic somewhere. I'll bust them out and try to sell them for $10 and get half of a Big Mac meal.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Uncle Kevin. I appreciate you instilling that passion for baseball and
hey, he shares a birthday with my daughter, and then he shares a birthday with Taylor Swift. So it's his favorite number 13 as well. Is that?
He's a big George Brett guy. So I'm guessing 5. I don't know. I'm gonna guess 5 of his favorite number. George Brett was always his number guy. Brian, you strike me as a guy who would have loved George Brett. Are you a George?
Oh, I thought there was gonna be some kind of insult.
No.
Dude, I just saw, they were replaying games. George Brett's rookie year, he's playing third base. And Schmidt, your boy, came up and laced the ball down the third baseline after he had fake bunted, brought Brett in at third base, and then hit a hard ground ball past him. at third base.
Oh, strategic.
Yeah. I mean, dude, George Brett. I mean, how can you not? I mean, he was feisty. He didn't take any stuff. I mean, that's kind of guy you want, fiery competitors, and as kind of your role models, or or people that you like to watch, and he was definitely one of them.
So speaking of fiery competitors, there was an incident last night in the 49ers and Rams football game where somebody wasn't a fiery competitor.
De'Vondre Campbell for the 49ers refused to go into the game in the third quarter. He had started every game this year, and then one of the starting linebacker for the 49ers came back and was playing well and didn't get an opportunity to go back in, but refused to go back in. That's in the ultimate team sport that football is. Baseball's a bit different, but have you ever had a situation where somebody just refused to? I felt that way, right? As a hitter, right? Even in college early on, I played most games, but there were a game where I would sit and I'd end up getting a pitch hit, and you kind of feel that like, I should be playing, but you go up and hit when somebody tells you. Have you ever had a teammate player that's like, I'm cashing this one in today?
Gosh, I don't recall a time when that happened. There's a few times when I kind of questioned starting pitchers not wanting the ball as much as I thought they should have. They're in the fifth inning and kind of letting the coach know that they want to come out, sort of thing, which is I thought it was a bad look. There's a few times when guys were a little dramatic about arm soreness or back soreness or something like that, and then they kind of on pins and needles, and you're like, man, just go pitch. Stop with that kind of stuff.
It's a long season. Just keep it moving.
Yeah, keep it moving. But never a time when I saw a guy just. There's a few times when guys had a little too much to drink the night before, and said they might have had the flu or something like that, when it was really,
you got to answer that bell. It's a long season, and you need some of those things, but you also got to answer that bell that next day. And we didn't. That was kind of the motto, at least through college, and even pro baseball was, whatever you did the night before, don't let it affect you the next day, or at least show up and ready to compete.
Yeah. I did have the 2003 season. I was a starter, opening day starter for the Pawtucket Red Sox, Red Sox AAA team. So that was really cool. Had a pretty good, and then at the end, had a couple starts that were just bad, like really bad, and they moved me to the bullpen. I think I went 10 days without pitching out of the. It might have been more. It might have been like 14. It was a long time.
Did they think you were hurt?
No, they knew I was never a hurt guy. I was perfectly healthy, and after like 9 or 10 days, I went in, talked to the manager and the pitcher, because hey man, like, what's going on? Like, I'm ready.
Healthy.
I'm
ready.
And I remember during that time, though, as you mentioned, like, I had some moments was like, man, screw these guys. I don't want to. But my thought was always like, let my performance do the talking.
Absolutely.
If I want things to change,
you got to change.
Take that in my hands and perform how I know I'm capable of, and prove that I deserve more mound time, or to be back in that starting rotation, or whatever it is. But and that season kind of really fell apart for me, at least personally. The team did really well. Very limited time out of the bullpen. There was a couple other guys they were starting to see as bigger prospects, sort of thing.
So you started as opening day starter.
Yeah.
To the bullpen, but not pitching in one season.
No, we did. Yeah, we went. So that year we went to the playoffs. Played a 5-game series against Ottawa. I didn't pitch at all in that, and then we lost to the Durham Bulls in the Governor's Cup, the championship for the International League. Didn't pitch at all in that either. And it's one of those things mentally. You try to stay sharp. You're throwing bullpens on the side. You're playing catch. But at some point, if you don't throw for that long, you're just it's different, right? No matter what point in the season. Yeah. I do remember when I came off of that long stint of not throwing at all. I was throwing probably like 2 to 3 miles an hour harder than my average speed as a starter was. So I was fresh. But it's odd they lost that much confidence in me, because it wasn't really like, I think my ERA for the season was like 4.3. So I wasn't like,
right. You weren't like a 6 guy. Yeah.
No, it wasn't terrible, but that was a really tough time. So, but I did have those thoughts during that period. It's like, God, screw these guys, man. I don't even. What am I doing? Like that sort of thing. But ultimately, it's like, you know what? Let's
I got to perform.
Let's flip that though and say, you know what? Screw these guys. I'm going to show them what they're missing out on.
That's
And
good stuff.
yeah, so any time for you from in the college?
No. I mean, so college or even my little short time in pro baseball, I didn't see it. You definitely felt some guys pout,
Yeah,
but never just refuse. I think you probably maybe would see it at big leagues or the NFL. I think Campbell's like a 9-year veteran.
yeah, he's been around.
Greenlaw had been out to his replacement all year, but Greenlaw was considered, like a top 8. I think he was an all-pro guy last year, really good. And so I feel like maybe you gotta have a little bit of entitlement to ever do that, even if you've been like the attitude to have is the one you have. Hey, screw you! I'm gonna figure out how to get back on the field and perform in spite of my opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, good stuff today. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you listen to us on Apple Pods, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Check out our TikToks. We got some fun content on there. And if you want to see what we look like, a couple of good-looking dudes over here. Check us out on YouTube. You can see that as well.
Debatable, but I like your confidence.
Optimism. I mean, if you're into like mid-40s guys with beards, they're balding and out of shape. Hey, we're your pod. Your YouTube channel. But happy birthday to Uncle Kevin, to Lake, and to Taylor Swift.
Awesome. Go back.